Hello guys, so welcome ulit sa ating YouTube channel. So let's talk about the complex differential operator. So note na pinag-aralan natin si dot product sa kasi cross product. So napaka-importante ng mga yun. Okay, so this is the complex differential operator. So pag-usapan natin. Again, hindi ako nakapokus sa meaning nila or what. Nakapokus ako sa formula nila kasi mas more on solving tayo since variable naman sinasabi ko, complex variable tayo. So mag-focus tayo sa solution, not dun sa ano yung ibig sabihin nila literal. Kasi trabaho na ni calculus or ni vector calculus yan. Okay, so let's talk about this. So define that triangle or that symbol. So inverted triangle siya. So that is del. So that is del. This symbol is read as del. So hindi yung public something na yun ha. So baka isipin mo yun na del. Sabunin kita dyan. Okay, so define del and del bar by this. Del is logically equivalent. Meaning yung logically equivalent is equivalent sila sa isa't isa. Pag nakita mo yung del, ito equivalent niya. So para siyang operator. So meaning, kunwari, dinefine ko si asterisk ko as plus. So ibig sabihin, pag dinefine ko asterisk logically equivalent to plus, so kunyari, nagkaroon ako ng A asterisk B. So that is A plus B. Dito rin yun. So kung nagkaroon ako ng del times del with function, so del F, meaning gagawin ko, yung f na yun, kukunin ko yung partial derivative with respect sa x plus I partial derivative with respect sa y. So, kaya logically equivalent yung nakalagay dyan. Next is del bar. Simply, parang siyang yung conjugate ng ating del. So, anong nangyari lang? That is minus I. So, that is partial derivative with respect sa x minus I times the partial derivative with respect sa y. So, ano ibig sabihin ba't nakablangko? Meaning, kung ano nakadikit kay del, kakabit ko doon. So, that is del f partial derivative of x plus I del function partial derivative of y. Ganun yung mangyayari. Dito naman, del function with respect sa derivative with respect sa x minus I tapos partial derivative ng function with respect sa y naman. Ayun yung gagawin dito. Okay, so let's have definition. So definition, let f of x, y be a real valued function of x and y. So in xy plane such that yung f of z plus z bar over 2 plus f of z minus z bar over 2y is equal to g of z, z bar. So, ulitin ko lang. Si f of x, y is just parang implicit function. Okay? Ang example ni f of x, y. So, for example, f of x, y. Example niya is si x, y plus x over y. Okay? Siya ay real valued function. So, wala nag-exist na I. So, lahat yan. So, multi-valued siya o double valued siya. Actually, x and y siya. Pero real valued siya. So, wala nag-exist na I. Ngayon, pag nakita mo, yung given is f, automatic walang I yun. Dito sa atin. Pero hindi ko sinasabing sa lahat. Okay? Dito sa atin, yung pag nakita ka ng f, automatic wala yung I. Ngayon, pangalawa naman is yung a of x, y. Ano naman si a of x, y? Si a of x, y, siya ay real valued function, pero siya ay complex valued function. Ano naman yung complex valued function? Meaning, may real valued function na p of x, y plus I times real valued na q of x, y. So, parang siya yung u plus ib kung naaalala mo. So, iba lang yung form niya. So, para lang siya kung naaalala mo, si f of z is equal to u of x, y plus ib of x, y. Parang ayun lang din siya. Okay, ito ay complex valued function. So, this is analytic always. And this is a real valued function. So, real valued function, example, yung p of x, y lang mismo. Siya yun. Real valued function yun. So, ayun yun. So, ito, example na ito. This is a of x, y. A of x, y is 2x, y plus I, x plus y. Okay, siya ay complex valued function. So, tandaan yung pinagkaiba nila. Okay? So, ngayon, ito na yung mga complex differential operator natin. So, dinefine ko si f, dinefine ko si a of x, y. So, dapat maintindihan mo ano yung dapat gamitin natin. So, hindi sa lahat ng oras applicable si ganito dito. Okay, tandaan yan. So, let's have the gradient. So, the gradient of f is equal to the del of f. Tandaan niya, the gradient of f is equal to the del of f. So, kung gusto kong kunin yung gradient ng f, ano yung f? That is a real valued function, meaning wala nag-exist na I. So, this is equivalent. So, equate ko na kaya may blanco. This is equivalent sa, what is del? Del is logical equivalent sa partial with respect sa x plus I partial with respect sa y of f of x, y. Okay, next is i-multiply ko yan. Therefore, ang del of f of gradient of f is that is partial with respect sa x of f of x comma y plus I partial with respect sa y ng f of x comma y. Okay, so evaluate ko lang siya. Kunin yung function, kunin ko yung partial derivative niya with respect sa x plus I times yung function, partial derivative niya with respect naman sa y. So therefore, ito yung kanyang formula. So tandaan na, the gradient of f is ganito. Okay, next, how about the gradient of a? So what if kunin naman natin yung gradient ng isang complex valued function. So, mapapansin mo, mag-iiba si f kay x, kay a of x, y. Si f of x is pure real number. Meaning, x, y lang yan, walang mga x and y lang yan, walang mga i yan. So, dito naman, pagdating kay a of x, y, siya ay complex valued function, meaning dalawa siya. Okay, so, this is equivalent lang. This is equal sa partial derivative with respect sa x plus I partial derivative with respect sa y times p plus iq. So, ganyan ko na lang iq na lang. So, meaning ng p and iq, that's p of x, y sa q of x, y para hindi masyado mahaba sa solution. Okay, so naiintindihan mo naman. So, next is i-distribute natin yan, multiply. So, multiply yun doon. So, this is equivalent to partial derivative with respect sa x of p. Tama? So, gawin ko ng p of x, y plus I partial derivative with respect sa x ulit ng q of x, y. So, kasi multiply ko. Next is ito ay may plus I partial derivative with respect sa y nung p of x, y. Okay, next is I times I, that is negative 1. So, this is minus partial derivative with respect sa y ng q of x, y. Okay, so rearranging lang para makita nyo yung mangyayari. So, this is simply equivalent sa partial derivative with respect sa x of p, tama, minus partial derivative with respect sa y nung q, okay, then plus I multiplied by partial derivative with respect sa x nung q, or unahin natin si p, tama, q na lang kasi with respect sa x, so this is q plus partial derivative with respect sa y ng p. Okay, so therefore ito yung formula pag gradient naman ng complex valued function. So anong gagawin? Kukunin ko lang yung real part na p, so yung imaginary part na q. Ang gagawin ko una, kunin ko yung partial derivative niya with respect sa x ng p. Kunin ko rin yung partial derivative niya with respect sa y. Kaso dito kayo pwesto. Ganyan yung pwestuhan. Ngayon yung magiging formula. Okay, so that is all about gradient pa lang. Next is all about the divergence. So, paano naman sa divergence? Okay, so the divergence of A. So, note, serba na lang F. Note, the divergence only exists sa complex valued function. Kasi ito usually sa vector. So, divergence sa vector. So, gradient, pwede sa real valued function or pwede sa complex, pwede sa plane, pwede sa vector or sa multidimensional. Okay, si divergence hindi. Si divergence is dapat multidimensional or vector dapat usually. Okay, so paano si divergence? Sabi si divergence of A is equal to del dot A. So note the word dot. Okay, so ngayon, kung naalala mo, ano yung dot product natin dun sa unang video? Ang sabi ng dot product natin, yung C sub 1 times C sub 2, C sub 1 dot C sub 2 is equal to the real part of C sub 1 par times C sub 2. So, anong gagawin dito? Ito ay equivalent lang. So, pag sinimplify, ito ay equivalent lang sa real part ng del bar multiplied by A. Yun yung mangyayari. So, kukunin natin yung product niyan, then kukunin natin yung real part, ay yung divergence of A. So, simplify natin. This is equal sa real part of, lagay ko na yung del bar. So, alam mo yung del bar. Del bar is partial derivative with respect sa x minus I times partial derivative with respect to y. Okay, multiply by P plus I Q. Okay, then simplify further. This is equal sa real part ng partial derivative. So this is partial derivative with respect sa x of P, tama, plus I partial derivative with respect sa x ng Q minus I partial derivative with respect sa y of P plus, kasi negative I times I is positive 1, so that is partial derivative with respect sa y ng Q. Okay? Note na ang kukunin natin is real part. So, di-disregard natin yung mga may I. So, therefore, what is the real part dito? Ang real part lang dito is only equivalent sa partial derivative with respect sa x of P plus partial derivative with respect sa y of Q. So, therefore, ito yung formula ng divergence of A. Okay, so kung napansin nyo, napaka-useful pala nung ginawa ko kanina. Kung di mo pinanood yung isang video, talagang lugmok ka. So, minsan kasi ganun eh. Ini-skip mo yung isang video kasi nga hindi naman importante, hindi naman ganun karami. Pero, doon ka nagkakamali. So, actually, lahat yan, duktong-duktong. So, ganun yun eh. Lahat ng math. Pag may in-skip kang isang araw, sunog ka buong semester. Alam ko ganun yung nangyayari. So, kung mabilis ka pumikap, very good. Pero kung hindi, di ba mahirap? Ganun talaga yan. Okay, so, ayan pa lang yung ating mga unang complex differential operator. Dalawa pa lang yan, to be honest. So again, walang divergence per f. Ang divergence is para sa complex valued function lang. Okay, so ito yung number 3. So let's talk about the curl. So kung napansin mo, wala na namang f. So meaning, si divergence sa si curl ay nag-e-exist lang kay complex valued function or kay vector. So usually sa 2, 2. So in term, magi-start talaga siya sa 2-dimensional pataas. May curl sa divergence si 3-dimensional at si 4-dimensional. Okay? So hindi ko na kasi concern kaya hindi ko na masyadong pa-discuss sa inyo. Ano ba yung mga ibig sabihin ng mga yan? Okay, so let's talk about the curl of A. What is curl of A? So, ang sabi, yung curl of A, ang kukunin natin dito is yung modulus ng curl of A. The modulus of curl of A is equal to the modulus of delta cross A. So, kung naalala nyo ulit, ano ba ang formula naman natin dyan? Ang formula naman natin dyan is the imaginary part. So, kung naalala nyo, this is simply equivalent lang sa imaginary part nung del bar times A. Okay, so I think pwede ko i-skip kasi nagawa natin siya eh. Okay, so nagawa natin yung del times A. Ito yun, del bar times A. So napansin mo ito yan. So ang gagawin natin, kunin natin yung imaginary part niya. Ang imaginary part is partial of Q with respect sa X minus partial of P with respect sa Y. So skip the process. This is only equivalent sa partial of Q with respect sa X minus partial with respect sa y of P. Ito para makuha naman si curl. Okay, so ulit kinuha ko na lang dito. Dinerive ko na mula dito sa ginawa natin yan. Okay, next is the Laplacian. So how about the Laplacian of f? So napansin mo, si Laplacian naman applicable lang kay real valued function. Okay, so hindi siya nag-exist sa 2-dimensional pataas. So, ano naman yung Laplacian of f? Ay, sorry, hindi ko claim na totally hindi nag-exist. Hindi ko pa nakita. So, in this topic, sa topic natin, hindi natin siya ikukulin. Okay, hindi kasi ako ganun ka-sure kung may Laplacian ba si complex valued function. Okay, start dito. So, sabi naman, the Laplacian of f is just simply equivalent sa del dot del. Okay, so that is del dot del. Paano naman yung del dot del? Ano mangyari dyan? So sir, paano po yun? This is equivalent. So ano yung del times del? Del cross del. So del dot del. So that del dot del is equivalent lang dito. This is real part. This is real part nung del bar. Tapos del. Yan yung gagawin natin. So this is equivalent sa real part ng yung del bar is partial with respect sa x minus I partial with respect sa y multiplied by partial with respect sa x plus I partial with respect sa y. Okay, so kukunin natin real part na after mo multiply. So this is equivalent sa real part. nung that is partial. So magiging partial of x. So ano magiging forma niyan pag na-multiply natin yan? So this is simply second partial derivative with respect sa x. Bakit? Partial derivative with respect sa x times partial derivative with respect sa x is second partial derivative with respect sa x squared. Okay, then sunod minus niyan is itong part na to. So this is plus I partial derivative with respect sa x tapos partial derivative with respect sa y minus I partial derivative with respect sa y times partial derivative with respect sa x. So obviously nakita mo cancel to. Minus, so negative I times I is positive. So that is plus second partial derivative with respect sa y squared. Okay, so obviously ito ay cancel. Itong part na to ay mga-cancel kasi similar lang sila. Okay, so therefore, real part niya is wala ng I. So, ano yung equivalent niya? Ang gagawin lang natin, ito ay equivalent sa second partial derivative with respect sa x nung f. Kasi f yung pinag-uusapan. So, f of x comma y. Okay, plus second partial derivative with respect sa y squared nung f. So, meaning dalawang beses ko siya i-differentiate. Okay, so, syempre, partial differentiation actually yung gagawin. Ito yung magiging formula. So, box ko lang. Okay, so ngayon, syempre, apply natin. Hindi lang basta puro formula. Syempre, gamitin natin. Paano ba yan? Okay, so, ito nagbigay na ako ni given, hindi ko na din ako naglagay ng direction kung ano yung gagawin. So, kung ano yung tingin natin applicable, yun yung gagawin natin. So, tulad nito, a of x comma y. Since a of x comma y is a complex valued function, ano yung mga applicable? Gradient, divergent, curl. Tama, yun na yung pwede. So, ang kunin natin dito is gradient, curl, saka divergent. Ayun na yung kukunin natin dyan. So, unahin natin is, kunin natin syempre yung kanyang gradient. So, what is gradient of a? So, by the way, bago tayo mag-gradient, isolate mo muna ano yung mga value. So, dito, yung p of x comma y, is equal to 2xy. Okay, next, yung q of x comma y, that is equal sa negative x squared y cube. Tandaan na, kasi may negative yun. So, ngayon, anong kunin natin una? Kunin natin una si gradient of a. So, unang kunin natin si gradient of a. So, what is gradient of a? Gradient of a, note sa formula, that is partial derivative ng p minus partial derivative of q with respect sa x as with respect sa y, respectively. So, yun yung una. So, una, this is partial derivative. So, yung una, this is partial derivative with respect sa x nung p. So, that is 2xy minus partial derivative with respect sa y nung q. What is q? That is negative x squared y cube. So, ito yung una. Okay, then plus I. Okay, next is ito naman. Partial derivative with respect sa x ng q plus partial derivative with respect sa y ng p. So, this is partial derivative. This is partial derivative with respect sa x ng q, which is negative x squared y cube plus partial derivative with respect sa y ng p, which is 2xy. Okay, next is siyempre simplify natin yan. So, obtain using the partial derivative. So, the partial derivative of 2xy with respect sa x is 2y. Okay, minus partial derivative ng negative x squared y cube with respect sa y is negative 3x squared y cube times negative, that is plus. No, so that is plus 3x squared y squared. Okay, then plus, this is I multiplied by partial derivative na ito with respect sa x is negative 2xy cube. So, this is negative 2xy cube. Then, partial derivative ng 2xy with respect sa y is 2x. That is plus 2x. So, therefore, ang gradient of A natin is equivalent dito. O, di ba? Napakadali niya. So, next, ano ang next na applicable? Siyempre, si divergent saka si curl. So, sunod is si curl. Si divergent muna. What is the divergent of A? So, letter B. What is the divergent of A? The divergent of A is equivalent dito. Partial derivative with respect sa x ng P plus partial derivative ng Q with respect sa Y. Okay, so ang gagawin ko lang, partial derivative with respect sa x ng Q, o ng P, that is 2xy plus partial derivative with respect sa y ng Q. What is Q? That is negative x squared y cube. Okay, so obviously, this is equivalent lang sa 2y. Tama? Then this is negative 3x squared y squared. So this is the divergent of A. So napansin mo, mas mahaba si gradient. Okay, next is letter C. Letter C, siyempre applicable dito si curl. So kunin natin yung curl, yung modulus ng curl. So yung modulus ng curl natin, curl of A, is equivalent lang dun sa formula. Partial derivative with respect sa x ng Q minus partial derivative with respect sa y of P. So this is partial derivative. So this is partial derivative with respect sa x of Q. So that is negative x squared y cube minus partial derivative with respect sa y naman ng P, which is 2xy. Okay, so this is equivalent sa negative 2x y cube minus 2x. Okay, so this is the curl of A. Okay, ngayon, ito yung mangyayari. Kunyari, sinabi, hanapin mo yung gradient, divergence, saka curl at specific point. Kunyari, nagsabi lang, at 1, negative 1. Ano mangyari? Yung gradient of A, magbabago yan. So, after mo makuha yung gradient of A, sasubstitute ko yung value na x and y. So, dito, yung gradient of A natin, magbabago. So, that is 2 times negative 1, kasi yun yung lumabas, plus 3 times 1 squared times negative 1 squared. Plus, that is I, that is I times negative 2 times 1 times negative 1 raised to 3 plus 2 times 1. Okay, so that is equivalent sa negative 2 plus 3, I think, plus I multiplied by, this is negative 2, it's negative 1, that is positive 2, kasi negative 1 raised to 3 plus 2, this plus 2. Okay, so therefore, this is equivalent sa 1 plus 4i. Okay, ayun yung gradient of A at 1, negative 1. So, after mo makuha yung gradient divergence sa curl, substitute mo lang yung value na indicate ko. So, sana maintindihan mo yung part na yan. Okay, so let's have another example. Okay, so for example 2, so let f of x, y be equals to 2xy plus x over y at p 1, 1. So, meaning, ang gagawin natin, hanapin natin yung mga pwedeng isolve dyan. So, since ang given is multi-valued function or a real valued function, so, ano yung mga applicable? So, check ko dito sa formula. Ang mga applicable na pwede natin isolve using dyan is the gradient of f, the Laplacian of f. So, dalawa lang yung hahanapin natin. Okay, so una, what is the gradient of f? So the gradient of f is just the partial derivative of f with respect sa x plus I partial derivative of f with respect sa y. Okay, so ganun yung gagawin natin una. So for letter A, solve ko na lang dito. So this is for letter A. So for letter A, so the gradient of f, the gradient of f is just equal sa partial derivative with respect sa x ng 2xy plus x over y. So, ito yung pinagkaiba ni gradient nito. So, mismong f yung ilalagay natin. Plus, this is I, partial derivative with respect sa y ng f ulit, that is 2xy plus x over y. Okay, then, solve natin yung partial derivative. The partial derivative neto with respect sa x is una, that is 2y, tama. So that is 2y, then mako-consider natin na constant si 1 over y, so that is simply plus 1 over y. Okay, then plus I multiplied by partial derivative of 2xy with respect sa y is 2x. Tama? Then partial derivative of x over y with respect sa y, that is x, or that is negative x squared over y squared. Negative x over y squared. Kasi ang partial derivative ng 1 over y is negative, derivative ng 1 over y is negative 1 over y squared. Okay, so that is negative x over y squared. Okay, so ito pa rin yung gradient of f. So ngayon at 1, 1, so sorry about dito. Papalitan natin ng value yan. So the gradient of f, so this is equivalent sa 2 times 1 plus 1 over 1 plus I times 2 times 1 minus 1 over 1 squared. So simplifying, that is equivalent sa 2 plus 1, that is 3. Okay, then is 2 minus 1, that is 1. So that is plus I. So this is the gradient of f. This is the gradient of f at 1, 1 is equal to 3 plus I. Okay, so ganun siya kasimple. Next is kunin natin yung Laplacian niya. So sa Laplacian, anong gagawin sa Laplacian? Ang gagawin sa Laplacian is kukunin yung kanyang second partial derivative dalawang beses. Okay, so letter B, if we are asked to find the Laplacian, so denoted by this. So yan yung Laplacian of f. Sorry, di ko nalagay. So Laplacian yan, delta squared of f. So anong gagawin? So this is equivalent lang sa second partial derivative with respect sa x squared nung 2xy plus x over y plus second partial derivative with respect sa y squared ng 2xy plus x over y. Ayun yung mangyari. So una, kunin natin yung first partial derivative. So the first partial derivative niya, so matitirang partial derivative with respect sa x, so i-differentiate ko na. So dahil with respect sa x, so that is 2y plus 1 over y plus this is partial derivative with respect sa y, so nag-isang derivative na ako. So that is equal sa 2x, tama, then minus x over y squared. Okay, next is partial derivative ulit natin with respect sa x. So obviously ito ay 0 na lang kasi partial derivative of 2y with respect sa 2x is 0. Partial derivative of 1 over y with respect sa x is 0. Next is this plus partial derivative of 2x with respect sa y is also 0, but the partial derivative of x over y squared with respect sa y is positive. So that is positive x over y to the fourth. Kasi yung derivative ng negative 1 over y squared is positive 1 over y to the fourth. Okay? So therefore, ang ating Laplacian of f is equal to x over y to the fourth. So syempre at 1, 1, palitan natin. So ang ating Laplacian of f is simply equivalent sa 1 over 1 squared, which is equivalent sa 1. Okay, so therefore ito yung kanyang value. Okay, so ganun lang siya kasimple. So tandaan nyo si f, ang applicable lang kay f is gradient tapos Laplacian. So pagdating naman kay a, kay complex valued function, applicable gradient, divergent, and curl. So tandaan, magkaiba yung formula ng gradient of f sa gradient of a. Tandaan nyo. Okay, so let's have the properties involving gradient. So hindi ko na siya i-discuss, or hindi ko na siya masyadong bibigyan ng example or elaborate pa. So imagine mo lang kung paano siya gagawin kasi hindi ko din naman masyadong actually gagamitin. Okay, so properties involving gradient, divergent, curl. So let a1, a2, and ab analytic function. So meaning complex valued function sila. So at the same time differentiable. Okay, so number 1, the gradient of a sub 1 plus a sub 2 is equal to the sum of their gradient. Okay, the gradient of sum is equal to the sum of their gradient. The divergent of sum is equal to the sum of their divergent. The curl of sum is equal to the sum of their curl. Okay, the product of gradient is equal to the a sub 1 gradient a sub 2 plus a sub 2 times the gradient of a sub 1. Okay, and next, number 5, napaka-importante. If a is a real, then the curl of gradient of a is equal to 0. Pero simple. So, papaprove ko yan sa problem set. Tandaan mo na lang, gagawin mo lang, assume na gradient of A is P of X ka, P plus IQX, kunin mo yung gradient nun, tapos kunin mo yung curl nun after, then dapat equal siya sa 0. Next, if A is pure imaginary, then the divergent of gradient of A is equal to 0. So, another thing, ipoprove ko rin yan sa problem. Ipapaprove ko rin yan sa problem set. Okay, so madali lang yan, huwag kayong mag-alala. So, that's all for this video. So, hoping na panoorin mo pa yung next video kasi medyo importante din yun. So, that's all about unit vector, Jacobian matrix, and the partial differential equation. So, meaning, may differential equation dito na involved. So, gagamitin natin yung mga property na ginawa ko kanina.